Hello everyone, my name is Alynnah O'Leary and I will be presenting from Collinsville, Illinois on my senior thesis, Students' Typical Study Habits and GPA. For an introduction, I will do a brief literature review. Research supports that the way a student studies affects their academic success. There is conflicting research whether group or individual studying is a better method. I performed this research study to fill in the gap in the literature regarding group studying. I made 4 hypotheses regarding my study. For the survey I used, which was the Study Skills Questionnaire, I hypothesized that participants would self-rate themselves to be strongest in concentration management. I hypothesized students who have a preference to study in groups will have higher GPAs than students who do not. More females will prefer to study in groups compared to males. And lastly, upper-level students will be more likely to study in groups than lower-level students. For the methods of my study, my sample size was 106. Participants were recruited on Facebook with a snowball sampling method. The survey was constructed on Google Forms and consisted of the Study Skills Questionnaire, which had 3 subscales, demographic questions, and exploratory questions. Results showed that students self-rated themselves highest in the concentration management subscale, followed by memory and reading comprehension. This is shown in the pie chart below. Concentration management had the most students scoring highest with 63%, followed by memory with 24%, and reading comprehension with 13%. Participants who responded very likely to study in a group had the highest GPA, and it went right down the line with responses. Those less likely to study in a group had lower GPAs. This is shown on the bar graph below. GPA is on the y-axis, and responses on likeliness to study in a group is on the x-axis. Males were more likely to group study, where females were more likely to avoid studying in groups. This is shown in the first bar graph on the right. The y-axis is the scale used on the survey, and the x-axis is gender. Lastly, seniors were most likely to study in a group, but sophomores were more likely than juniors. This is depicted in the last graph on the right. The y-axis is the same at scale from the survey, which was 1 very likely to 4 very unlikely. The graph shows that seniors are the least likely to avoid group studying, and graduate students were the most likely to avoid group studying. These results support students believe they are best at concentration management. The more likely a student is to study in a group, the higher their grade point average. There is no significant difference in preference to study in groups between males and females, and there is only slight differences in preference between grade levels to group study. And that is all. Thank you all for listening.